Hi everybody, so this is going to be what happens to us after we die, part 2. Oops, sorry about that. So yeah, yesterday I actually tried to do this video. 15 minutes into the video, cut off, and the song Mama You Got a Daughter, I'm looking at the song by Lee Hooker, John Lee Hooker, sorry. From City of Angels, because there's a song on that track that I want to play for everybody on Instagram, which is called Grieve by Peter Gabriel. It's an amazing song and you should actually listen to it yourself. But I would play it here on YouTube, but they tend to boot me if I play songs. So I was doing this video and I was talking about adoption. It was a question that came up about adoption, and I was doing a whole thing about my story and how my mother died when I was 10 days old, and I was doing this whole story about that. I was in the middle that when the whole video just shut off and that song started playing. And so that's a testament to people who ask about signs and what are signs like. So I'm just going to use that as to answer that question, even though I have a whole video on how to look for signs from the spirit world here on my channel. That is a testament of what a sign really looks like, and when you feel like maybe you're reading into a situation, which happens a lot, versus to a sign that's kind of like in your face. And that one I would say was in my face. And it was trippy because I just ended up kind of scrapping the whole video and tried to do it again, and I was having technical problems with this new mic that I ended up not using because I was having so many problems. And so yeah, it was just like a weird day. So we're gonna start over. I did, for those of you who have found me from the Witch of Wonderlust, thank you so much for coming over here. And she had me on her channel that she's going to post, I believe, next week, and there were many questions sent to her to be fact yeah, to be literal, I guess. There wasn't just many, there was 205 to be specific, and obviously we couldn't get through the whole 205, so I'm going to do a follow-up video after she posts her video. I'm going to do a follow-up video answering most of the questions. I went through actually all of the questions. It took me a while, but I went through all of them. And I would say, like, there's a lot of questions that are kind of the same questions, and some of them I already did answer on her video, meaning there's a lot of people asking the same questions that I did answer on her video, and she was kind of good about, okay, here's a question, but there's a lot of people have asked this. And then there's questions that I already have videos on. But on my video next week, I'm actually going to end up doing 2 posts. I'm going to do my regular post that I do on a subject matter, and then I'm going to do an extra special post that's just going to be all the questions people have asked her, and we didn't get a chance to get to. But she did a pretty good job at like kind of finding, like, these are kind of the general questions, and also some questions that I've already answered on videos, and I'll go over that again. But today I want to kind of go over some questions I've been asked on DMs and comments here from my last post on what happens after we die, part 1. And also maybe, like, you'll see that some of these were actually even questions that people had asked her. So first off, I just want to explain, before I get to some of the subjects, what happens to us when we die. Like, what do we experience, or what have I been shown that happens to us? So in other words, that moment. Okay, so when people pass, what they show me in that moment, it is like their body leaving this world, their spirit leaving their body, and it's almost like walking from one door into another door. It is really not as big to do as people think, for one, and for two, people always describe it as so much easier than they've been told. It is not as complicated as we're told. I don't have a timeline that I need to wait to talk to people who have passed. I don't need to wait 3 days, 4 days, 10 weeks, whatever. I have seen people This, the minute they pass, I've helped people, help them pass, and I'm talking to them as they pass, and I talk to them after they pass. Um, the veil that people talk about is really just an energy, and I talked about that in the first video. It's a state of consciousness, and that in this realm, what I want you to do as I take you down a few of these subjects is I want you to get your mind completely away from this realm. We tend to correlate that realm to this realm, meaning like we tend to approach it in the same way. For example, people think that people have to come visit you. They don't need to come visit you. They are a world within this world. There's two examples I like to use. Think of an onion. We're one layer, they're on the outer layer. Also think of the internet. The internet is a whole world within this world. It is a whole world within this world, right? So I would use these two examples when thinking of that realm and not using the idea of this realm, meaning we tend to feel like spirits are attached to a place, they're attached to objects in this, in the sense of like they're following the object or they're following you. And I'm going to get that into, that was a lot of questions about that to Olivia on the Witch and Wonderlust channel. If you, oh, by the way, not that she needs me to send people to her channel, but if you found me and you don't know what I'm talking about, she does a channel on witchcraft and her discoveries and her journeys and the things she's learned, and she teaches on there about what she's discovered and such. So she had me on her channel to talk about spirits who have passed. Sorry, about what it's like on the other realm. Okay, so there was and I get these questions a lot. It's not just with her. I get these questions a lot. People tend to kind of feel, they compare it to this realm. I just want you to kind of extend yourself away from this realm and kind of see it as more of an endless, limited, unlimited, timeless. There is no hindrance of time, space in that realm. So with that said, people who have passed, when they pass, that's what they discover. Once they drop the body, they're in this free zone of being able to see things from almost like a 4D times a million, I always say times a million perspective, meaning like they are no longer bounded by the physical realm, by their body, by the walls, by time, by space, by pain, all of those things, okay? So their perspective is broader. They are not all knowing. They don't have all the answers to the universe that people think. And the reason why is because they are still learning. When we pass, we're learning this new realm. We come from this realm as new souls, but once you are born and you come into this dimension in a physical body, you are transformed. Just kind of imagine that if you go to a whole new place to live and you experience a whole new way of living, and you're going to be transformed. So you are transformed when you come from a limitless space, and you come into this space where you're bounded in the physical realm that is the most, it creates the most boundaries, creates the most limits of things you can see, feel, hear, experience, all of it. And so then you go through that, and you go through pain, and you go through all of these learning, and then you pass on and you're back at home and you go, oh, that's right, I remember home. I remember this space. It is familiar to me. But now I'm a completely different being because I've went to sleep and forgot about this place, and I've also experienced things that have changed me. So with that new evolvement, that new awareness, that new perspective of life, of everything, now you're able to see, actually you're even a little more evolved than when you came here, before you came here. And you're able to see that realm in a whole different light because you're coming from this experience. However, look at it like schooling. So now you're in this space and you understand a lot, but you're not experienced enough. You're not an ancient being. You haven't experienced all of this in this perspective of learning. Um, so you don't know everything. So people kind of think that spirits kind of have all the answers, and they don't, because you wouldn't understand it. Simple as that. You start to learn and understand what you can learn and understand. So for instance, I've been doing this type of work for a long time. I've been shown a lot, and I know I it was shown to me one time, if you take like a whole picture, right, of a puzzle. So imagine a giant puzzle. What I'm being shown is the corner of the puzzle. Okay, and that's where you have to come from humility and non-ego, and that corner has widened and widened and widened over the years. When I first started this path, I saw very little piece, then little bit by little bit, but it would be egotistical and ridiculous for me to seem to tell you I know all the answers, I have all of the understandings. I do not. um, I understand what I come to be, I'm ready to understand. And that's how this path has gone for me this whole time. I learn something, I understand it, I comprehend it, and then boom, then something else is revealed, and then I'm learned and understand it and I comprehend it. And so it's like unlocking, you know. And when you pass, obviously you get unlocked from the bounds of this place, right? And you're in this new place of understanding. But understanding a lot of this stuff takes with time and consciousness and wanting to grow. Believe it or not, not all spirits are interested to grow to a certain extent. Some of them are like, this is, I'm good for this. And because there's no time, when people pass, this is why I think it's ridiculous to say that, I don't know. I don't want to say it's ridiculous, but it just doesn't resonate for me. So I don't want to insult anybody, but it just doesn't make sense to me, because I know there's no time and space to say it takes 3-4 days or whatever before a spirit can talk to you, or aware that they died, because there's no time there. So what is like 3 days to us could be like a month in that time, and I'm only giving it a time frame because that's what we understand, but that is not really how they understand it. They understand it kind of like, oh, I've just been learning and all these things, and for you, you're telling me, you know, it's been 3 days. Okay, so they can see. The other thing is, I want to be really clear, they can see, hear you, feel you, all of those things. Now, I was watching a movie again, rewatching the movie Avatar, and when you watch the movie Avatar, it is very based, like a lot of movies, on spirituality. And you know the scene when they're all sitting on the tree and they put their connector right into the earth, and they connect to each other, and they're trying to heal, and they talk about the tree and the spirits that kind of live in these trees, which I call as the tree of life, which is us, which combines us. But it's really what they're talking about is the collective whole. I'm getting like chills as I talk about this. It's the collective whole. It's a state of consciousness. And you know how they talk about the network, that there's a network that kind of runs through that planet, through the trees, through the energy, through them. That is like that realm, but you don't need to be in a physical body. They're still even in a physical body. So that the telepathic communication and the connection and the knowing that comes through everyone together as a whole is how that realm is. I'm going to go over this more on the video that I post after the Witch of Wonderlust posts her video, but I just want to make it clear, because I got a lot of questions about this, and I still always get a lot of questions about this. Me as a medium is not the same as you talking to your family and the people you care about. Me as a medium is honoring being a communicator and a mediator for the spirit realm, which is why I don't call myself a psychic medium, because I don't believe all psychics are mediums, like medium, and not all mediums are psychic, for one, and for two, I'm an intuitive and a medium, and I approach these two things very, very separately, because as a medium, I've taken kind of almost like this oath, or you want to call it, or ethical stance, that I will honor the words of that spirit realm, their feelings, what they want to say, from them, not putting my ego and myself into the equation. And so being a medium is has nothing to do with me. When I'm telling people things that their people want to say, it has nothing to do with me. It's not my perspective, it's not my understanding. I'm putting my spin on it. They will even say words, sorry, coffee. They will even say words, that I've never even said, but I say their words, and they do it on purpose because that's how they're confirming. Confirmation and validation is so important. So when you're looking to communicate with that realm, you got to understand that confirmation and validation is important. And I have videos on things like this, but I will definitely be dedicating videos just to like confirmations, validations, and how to get them. But I have a video on signs and knowing signs and dream visits, and that's exactly why those it's important. And so I just want to explain that what I'm trying to show people is that not everybody is going to be a medium. I always look at it like everybody can play piano, but not everybody's going to want to be a professional piano player playing on a large stage. Not that I see me playing on a large stage. What I'm saying is that not everybody's going to want to put themselves to communicate, because music is a form of communication, and do it in a professional way to like hone and hone and hone and hone this thing that they're dedicating themselves to, like being a service. We all are doing things being a service to each other. We're all servicing each other. That's all we're ever doing. Someone's doing your nails, they're servicing you. Someone's getting your coffee, they're servicing you. The jobs you're doing, you're servicing. We're all servicing each other. And this is my service, and I've dedicated myself to honing it and to mastering it through my lifetime. Not everybody's going to want to do that because it is a very difficult path. I'm not going to lie. But everybody, I want people to know, has access to being able to feel, hear, and communicate to those who have passed on. Okay? So when I say the spirit realm all wants to talk, they all want to talk because of that. Because they're saying, oh my gosh, the blinders have been lifted. Now I realize that there's this whole world within a world, and my people are missing me, and they think I've just vanished into thin air, and I'm just skipping around somewhere and having no awareness of them. And it's not true. But because we are asleep and our heads are down and we're not paying attention, it's harder for them. So when people say that they've seen and they've heard from the spirit realm, and then all of a sudden it's just stopped, it's not them, it's us. We get caught up in the mundane world. And that brings me to one of my points, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. We've heard it being the magic hour, witching hour, right? A lot of people think there's something spooky and weird about night, and why do things always happen at night? I'm going to tell you, it's very logical and also very spiritual. The spirit realm is always trying to communicate and make these connections. It's happening around us all the time. Kind of think again a movie like The Matrix, how there was like he was trying to show him like wake up and see a world that you didn't notice, right? Okay. It's always happening all the time, but at night when the world settles down, when everybody settles down, when everybody stops running around, distraction, and and I'm doing all the things they're doing and I'm not at a buzz. The reason why it happens at night is you're laying down and you're letting your mind take a break, and you're letting your spirit just kind of be. And that is what the spirit realm connects to. It connects to your spirit and it connects to your heart. And so the reason why it also happens 3-5, because we do REM sleep, I believe around that time is where we're dreaming. And in that REM sleep, your mind's kind of like taking a break and you're opening up. And that's when they're like, this is when we can communicate. It's because this is when you're being the most open. Okay. So here's a couple of questions I wanted to answer. 1, animal spirits. People asked about animal spirits. Animal spirits, yes, absolutely. Spirits of animals do pass on and they do try to connect. They're the most easy to connect to you because animals have a very clear understanding of death. They see that realm all the time. When they're here, they're telepathically, naturally telepathic and empathetic. And they see that world all the time. So they look at it like when they're passing, they're like, I just need to ditch this body and go into that realm. It's really not a big deal. Animals, to them, they hold on for us. They are here to help us understand this place. And believe me, I'm not the person that's like, when animals started telling me stuff, I was like, why me? Because I'm not the animal activist and all this. And they're like, that's because that's why we're telling you, because you don't have your own agenda. And I'm more connected to the other realm, and animals are very grounding. Being grounding has been a more lifelong lesson for me. And so they've told me to let people know, look, they're not upset about their passing. They hold on, they get all this, go through all the things you're trying to help save them for you, because you're not able to handle it. So yes, they are, and they're very easy to communicate to, and they'll show themselves. So just like I've told in the other videos, talk to animals like you would to people. The other question is about suicide. I'm going to dedicate a video to animal spirits. I'm going to dedicate a video to suicide. All these subjects I'm saying, I'm probably going to dedicate a video to. Suicide, I want people to know, when people take their lives, and I'm going to do a whole video on it, there's different categories. There's people who take their lives like deliberately, definitely know what they're doing, people who are kind of out of their mind, people who are tremendous in pain, and then there's accidental suicides, where people just living their life kind of carelessly, and not being careful with their life. And in all of those categories, that realm is compassion and empathy. There is no punishment. There's almost like a rehab, where people go in and they have to heal. That means they have to face the life that they had here, and the pain they caused, and the lessons they didn't want to learn. They still have to go through. So they're aware of everything. We all have to go through our life and experience it, almost like standing in a VR, but you're feeling what everyone's feeling. You're kind of in a space of feeling everything, how you affected people. And in suicide, people have to go through healing. Okay? Miscarriages, people ask me about. Miscarriages, people, those energies stay connected to you. They see it as that they're a part of you, like a cord connecting. Like the movie Avatar, that's basically based on a spiritual thing. It's about cord connection. And I've been shown that a lot of times some spirits aren't sure if they want to come through, and they know that you're not sure, and maybe there's something going on emotionally, or maybe there's something going on in your life, or maybe your body's just kind of not in that place. And so they're okay. They're not upset about it. Sometimes they choose to leave because they're like, this isn't going to work for them. They wanted to experience life a little bit, but they just decided maybe not to fully go, and they make room for the next spirit, and sometimes it's the same spirit. I am not going to be as bold to say I know it's the same thing for every person, because it is not. It's very different for each person, what is going on and why it's going on. So please don't analyze yourself, or what happened, or what you did wrong, or any of that stuff. Please don't do that to yourself. It's not necessary. It's a very intimate, very delicate, and it's a very individualistic experience, and what the lessons are going on. This is just what I've come to learn to understand as a whole. But I will dedicate a video if people want. Please let me know if you want me to dedicate videos to all these subject matters. And then the last one that I thought was interesting is someone asked me about adoption, because I did in the first video of what it is like for us when we're being born, because to me, to understand the death, we have to understand how we come here. And it was a very good question, and I was in the middle yesterday of answering that my mother died when I was 10 days old, and my aunt and uncle raised me, so I was pretty much like adopted. And what I've come to understand about picking our parents is that we pick our parents, and we pick the people who are going to even be influential and parental in our lives. We don't know all the circumstances, because that is up to the people to decide. So let's say you're born to someone, they can choose the path of, okay, I'm going to keep you and maybe learn and grow, or I can't and I'm going to have to learn and grow in a different way. But for some reason, you know that maybe these other people, let's say your adopted parents, are going to be people are going to be very prominent in your life to helping teach you. However, because there's multiple timelines and possibilities, maybe the parent who decided to keep you, maybe that would have been a teacher, and maybe that would have been a mentor, and your adopted parents would have kind of made it into your life at the same time. Even if it's an abusive situation, maybe you would have learned something, maybe you would have saved someone else from those adopted abusive parents. The problem is that because everyone has a decision about how they're going to deal with a child coming into their life, which, by the way, children are here to remind us of home, to remind us of the light, to remind us to grow. We can choose what we're going to do with that, and you can't really control what people decide. So my belief, because I've had the same thing, the two parents that raised me and my mother is to me like a trilogy of the people in my life, and they're actually right above there. The first one at the top, that's my mother, biological mother. To the right is my uncle, and then to the right is my aunt. And that's my trilogy, just happens to be there. And I feel like even if she had lived and if things would have gone a different timeline, they obviously would have maybe been a part of teaching me things in life. And so I believe that you can't, you don't know though when you come here what it's all going to be about. You're like, okay, these people are going to be part of guiding me, because parents are really only supposed to be guides, guiding us in this planet, not supposed to be owners of us and showing us about this place. So I believe that we know that somehow we're going to have an effect and we're going to help heal them, and they're supposed to help us. And that's probably definitely a whole video. So please let me know if you'd like me to do a whole video on those different subjects, and I hope this helped a little bit. I tried to get to a lot of these questions, but because this is a big subject, please know I'm going to be doing videos about this, but also my intuitive side. I'm going to do videos on raising vibrations and what does that mean, how to open your intuition, and all those type of things. So I love hearing from you guys. I always answer as fast as I can. It's not like it's hard, but even if it was, I'd like to, because that's the point of doing these. Go ahead and look for the Witch of Wonderlust. She's going to have me on next week. Also, I'm do a podcast with Mystic Dylan, who's awesome. We're doing a podcast called The Witch and the Medium. Check us out. We'll be doing another post this week. And he's a witch, and he has his interpretation of all this type of stuff, and my interpretation as a medium. And you can follow me on Instagram at Adele Levine. All social media, I'm Adele Levine. And I post things that I'm doing, classes and such. Follow yourself, follow no one, listen to the answers that are built inside of you, trust it. Spiritual people, we're just here to help unlock it, and I'll see you soon.